everybody, and welcome to our World Our Power radio show. We're here with Lady Pauline and our Honorable Mayor of Suffolk Boulevard, Mr. Glenn Greenwich. And today we have a special host, Mr. Wayne Gilman from WBLS, the former news director for over 35 years. Thank God I have you on the air right now. He's helping me with the show. So welcome.
Thank you once
world.
again. Right,
And
this is like my fourth appearance.
Yes,
here,
it is.
right?
Yes, it
I'm
is.
going to charge you for the next
one.
And we have with us Mr. Clifton Stanley Diaz, who is a community advocate, just a stand-up guy in our community. He's also the public servant for all aspects. And public safety is one of his highlights, and he's also taking care of the folks in Rochdale, Rochdale Village. If you don't know about it, it is one of the bigger complexes in Queens, and it's a huge place for us as a community to have for ourselves. So he's in charge of making sure that that's safe and they get the service they need, and they're expanding as well. But also I wanted to let you all know that Mr. Diaz has been selected in the production of the 74th edition of Who's Who in America. Okay, so congratulations.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Welcome to the show.
Welcome to the show. Tell me, how long have you been working with Rochdale Village, and what is it that you do exactly?
Well, I live outside of Rochdale Village on the where the telephone company is on 140th Avenue and 183rd Street.
Oh, yeah.
So we lived there for 2 years. We came from the Bronx, Soundview section of the Bronx, where TV 12 is.
Okay.
A couple of blocks
Yes, I
away
know
from
where.
there. When Rochdale was built, we moved in there on September of 1963. And so from that time up until then, I've lived in Rochdale. Moved away for about maybe 5 3/4 of a year, went to the Air Force, and then came back and returned to serve the community.
Oh, that's wonderful. Oh, wow.
So tell us a little bit about your career as a veteran. I didn't know.
Okay, I went into the Air Force. The overall title of the police field is security police, but they have two components to that. They have the security specialist. The security specialist walks around with an M1638 around the planes that are parked on the field.
Okay.
Then you have the other component of that is the law enforcement, like you have out in the street.
Okay.
I was supposed to go into that. They tricked me. I went into the other one, security specialist.
Okay.
It was in Texas, 100 degrees, 110.
Oh my goodness.
Okay, I got bored. So one day I was in the office of the chief of police and the commander of the base. They were reading him the riot act because the crime was going up. It was an open base.
Okay.
And there was kids that were doing it. A lot of the crime. And then when the bars closed down, they would come through the base, shoot out the windows of the dependents that were living there. So fear was emanating in the community. So I was in the back, and with my big mouth, I said, "They're not doing it right." So he heard it, the commander, and he said, "Who said that?" And he said, "M and Diaz." And I said, "Oh my God, I'm in for it now." And then all of a sudden, when that happened, he called me up and he told me, he said, "This is the fellow I was telling you about." He said, "Where are you from?" So I said, "New York." He said, "I'm from New York City." So I thought so. So he said, for that not being, putting your nose in it, he said, "You're going to solve this case, and if you don't, you're going to have severity coming to you." So I said, "Well, what's that, sir?" So he said, "We're going to put you in the law enforcement area, and you're going to solve this case." So in my mind, I said, just what I wanted. So he said, "Look, you're going to have to solve this case with these guys coming in, shooting the windows at night when the base closes, all right, or the bar closes. And if you don't, you have a problem." So what I did is I got some illegally. I got a board with some nails in it. He came down driving slow, and to get a good target at the windows, he shot it out. He went over 3 of the boards. The car stopped, and I came between the cars, put the gun to his head, okay, and told him, you're under arrest, okay, took him out, called the base commander, he rushed down there with his night stuff on, and he said, unbelievable, he said, I can't believe this. He said, see me in the morning. So I said, yes, sir. I know what that meant. So they transferred me. I was supposed to work 365 days in security specialist. They gave me 364 days in law enforcement, 1 day in security, and then they transferred me to law enforcement. I reduced the crime like Comstack, half and half.
Wow.
And they were so impressed with me, they made me the top cop of the Air Force and the outstanding airman of the Air Force. And then when I came back, I came to Rochdale, they needed me there. And Rochdale, public safety wise, is
Yes.
what it is now. And the people are impressed.
Well, that's awesome.
You know, I just want to underline something. This is a demonstration of leadership. You know, you saw something, you said, you pointed to it and said, I can do this better.
Right.
And they gave you the opportunity to do
Right.
that. And I think that is who you've been and continue to be
Right.
really all your life. So you've been a leader all your life.
Right.
And so I just want to acknowledge you. And there's no surprise that you're in Who's Who in
And that's
America.
related to the area that you worked in.
And you recently just got an award for Black History Month from
Correct.
the Something Bid.
Right.
As congratulations.
And thank you.
Yes.
And with relation to the area that he works with the police and the community board, Rochdale, the community that he works in, because I'm the public safety chair for Community Board 12,
Right.
103 Precinct, 103rd. They have more cops down there now. They have more cops in Rochdale and more cops in the 113th areas where there's trouble. I work very closely with them, and I named the street after Police Officer Byrne. And that's something that the officers wanted. They never forgot it. It's just one street that they wanted. So I was able to, as a past community board member,
Yeah.
get it through the community board, and they never forgot me for that. So I worked both with the officers good, and I worked both with the community well.
So you're like a liaison between
Right.
both the municipal
Right.
organization and,
Right.
and community leaders.
And I will get on them when they do wrong.
Yeah.
I will compliment them when they're right. I'm not on just one side,
Right.
and that's why I'm well respected in the community.
And I guess that's a tough thing to do. It's like you're walking on a tightrope
Right.
because you're trying to appease both
I have
sides.
no problem with that.
Really?
And you know me, I've
Have you
been
ever-
doing it for
yeah, I've
years.
known you for a long
Right.
time, you know.
Right.
And I have to say, forgive me, I mean, I didn't know about this aspect with what you're doing within the last couple of years. You know, Cliff, if you don't mind me, as I said before, referring, because I've known you as Cliff all my life, it seems like. But the thing is that what I find so interesting about what goes on is that even when we have problems outside of this immediate community, there's always a need for someone who could stand in and basically part the seas where there's a lot of menacing going on, because
Right.
it's not something that's just germane to Southeast Queens or Queens in general. It just seems to be universal, you know. So it's very commendable that you're able to do that, and you're a better person for it than I am, because I tell you, there aren't that many people. You know, we have a lot of people who come out and they espouse what they want the community to basically look and reflect. But it's one thing to say that, but enforce it is another.
And we have better leadership in our community now. We have assembly person Vivian Cook. She works very well in our community, bringing the bacon home. Adrienne Adams, all right, our council person, she's doing an outstanding job.
Yes, she is.
Just became council person. She landed on her feet, doing a whole lot of outstanding jobs. I really admire her. I'm glad she's in Rochdale. You know, so she's there, and I'm extremely happy. We have also Danique Miller, Donovan Richards. They're doing a good job, and so we have better blood in our community
And
in
community
terms of
services
working
more.
with us.
Mr. Diaz, I want to ask you something and would like you to comment on what do you think is the reason. I live in South Jamaica, Queens, matter of fact, and I live in an area wherein I see a lot of police activity. I have a front row seat, according to where I live, you know. And a matter of fact, when I went to get my police ID for broadcasting, they said, you know, you can get a story here like six stories a day. There's so much crime that's in Jamaica area. What is your comment on what is the police really doing? Because if you were in where I live and you stayed there for approximately an hour, I don't know how many times you hear the police running up and down, back and forth. And it's not just that they're just running up, they're doing their job. But crimes are being committed. I mean, you know that, the young man that got shot in the projects, Baisley projects. So we have so much crime. I know you don't have it in Rochdale. What do you see as the solution to?
There's a series of things. First and foremost is survival. That's the first thing. So what you need to be done is the kids out in the street need to have jobs. A lot of them are discriminated against, all right? They tell you that's not the case, okay? My son has been the victim of that. I know other friends who has children, they have been the victims of it. So that's one problem in itself. They need, sometimes, they say, well, the kids nowadays, it's everything about money. Well, not really. What you need is for activity-wise, something for them to do. It could be something athletic, but at the same time, the other part of that would have to be academic, all right? So like, for example, if they're not doing too good in school, you have a tutoring after-school program where you can tutor them to make them better. I do believe that there has to be diversity also. So for example, what I mean by diversity, everybody can't be a basketball player, everybody can't be a rap star, okay? You go to the hospital, you complain about this doctor, you complain about the police officer, so what you do, you go out, fight, okay, vote, okay? That way you can change things. That's what our people before us did. When you do that, then you're in these positions where you can affect change, and that's one of the ways that you can do it. The other thing is that you have to change the mindset of these people, have required courses. So I give Mayor de Blasio a good hand in terms of acclimate, because under him, the police relations with the black community has substantially improved.
Yes, that's
now,
true. Yes.
he is not, perfect. They say, well, you're saying he's perfect. I'm saying, no, he's not perfect. But I can tell you, I work with other mayors, and he is the best, okay? He's easy to approach. You have to give people respect when you talk to him also, and he demands respect like everybody else. But as far as Rochdale is concerned, Southeast Queens, when I talk to him, he stands there, he listens, okay? We talk about police stuff, we talk about community stuff. I might hand him something, he takes it, responds, he does stuff. So I'm impressed with him, and like I said, I speak my mind, all right? I do wish he would give the police a raise, all right? And that's not a criticism of him, that's just a suggestion.
And there seems to be an issue with all the
Right,
mayors
with-
who come
with-
through,
yeah.
there's the friction between the union
Right.
and the city.
But I am supportive of the police in terms of what they're doing now compared to when Giuliani and Bloomberg was in office. The stop and frisk, stopping us, black men being in trouble, then all of a sudden they set you up and then give you a ticket, invent a crime. Come on, I didn't like that. I was a victim of it also, all right? I have a relative, something I can't say what happened to, I can't say what happened if it's a female or a male, okay? But it happened in the 1990s. It was all over the papers, all right? And some of these people are being let out now under the bail program.
Right.
That has to be corrected. So, in the old days, they were strict. They made these laws. It didn't benefit us. Then they said they wanted to amend it. You amended it, but you did not give us the opportunity to speak in it. You did it late at night, you've rushed it through, and that's it. So it needs to be fine-tuned, okay? I always like to take the in-between road position rather than to take extreme positions. I'm always, as you know me, in the middle, right? So those are the things that we need to make our community better. Participation, and in light of the fact that this is Black History Month, this is a good time to walk that path and implement it.
I wanted to just briefly ask you, I'm not looking to dominate here, but there's a socio-economic difference between Rochdale Village and, let's say, where
I am in
Ms.
Paisley
Pauline
Gardens.
is. And the deal is that, do you think that the police department plays a greater role in protecting your area because they have interaction with people
No,
like yourself, or is it?
No, what happened
Go
before,
ahead.
we had a crime problem before where the crime went up, but we didn't get the police protection that we needed. That was under Giuliani, and that was under Bloomberg. When de Blasio came in, it improved, all right? It wasn't comparable to your community,
Right.
but it started going up. They gave us no help. Okay, we even have a minority commander. Okay, we had some other people in there. I went to them, deaf ear. They told me, go to your commander, deaf ear. Person named Frederick Grover, who was the deputy inspector then, came in, we talked. I told him certain things I needed. I spoke to the people at one police plaza. All of a sudden, things changed. They needed certain stuff, I needed certain stuff. I went to Brooklyn. I saw what the Jews were having down there. It's called Crown Heights Public Safety.
Right.
Police vans, lights, and all this other stuff like that. Why can't somebody in the black community have something like that? But I knew how to get it, all right? So I got it. So if you go to Rochdale now, you see that we have police type vehicles. They call them Homeland Security stuff. We have the vest and different things. The only thing we don't have is guns. So now when you go over to our community, for example, the things that need to be done is some of the stuff that I mentioned before. But at the same time, the people anonymously can provide information, okay? They can go out and vote. And when they go out and vote, they can exert their power in that area, okay, to get things done. We have people that come to the community board. When they come there, I have the commanders come there. And before, he can tell you, they were not coming. They were missing in action. They had a person there before me, nothing was happening. They said, please come to the community board for Southeast Queens. Before our community goes down, we need you. I applied for it, got on. So since I've been on, okay, things have happened positively, public safety wise, in our community. Rochdale, you know, all the community board areas,
yes.
down where he's at, and,
Suffolk
Suffolk Boulevard,
yeah.
you know, things have changed. So that's the way you affect change. Now, the thing on the gun thing, you didn't mention, but I'm gonna mention it,
okay.
all right? Originally, I was against people having guns and having them taken away from them, but now I'm in favor of certain individuals having guns in the city. And that's what the federal government is trying to do. I say that because the police have guns, the people who are doing bad things have guns, and you don't have anybody in the middle, so when they leave, then the people who are bad take over, okay? You need some people in the community where they come out, they make a mistake, they either bother some of us, right, and we have permits, and you can deal with them. Or you might come across, you might be in a store, there's a robbery or something, and then they come to bother you or something. So at least, you know, you're trained and you're able to do something.
What about the restrictions with regard, because there's some people in this town that can have a permit, but you don't have the ability to go out and walk with the
I know.
gun. It has to be locked up,
Yeah,
Yes.
you know.
yeah.
I
They
mean,
should
it's-
change that.
Right.
And that's, the federal law will change that.
And, okay, I guess we have a
I
problem with that.
has worked many years as a private investigator, and I had my gun permit. And about 10, 11 years, my gun permit. And what happened was, you know, I had stopped working in the field, and the police came and they came and took my gun from me and stuff like that. Some people say it was a blessing, but it is needed, and
No,
you
it's
need to
needed.
be, and you need
Yeah.
to be able to
Right.
use it if necessary.
Right, that's right.
Yeah.
I think one of the things, one of the underlying things that we've talked about specifically, but I want to underline, is that this is not a one-sided solution. The police have to do their job, and we have to identify and let them know what they need to do. But we as a community also have to be organize ourselves and understand our part as well, and make sure that 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 we're organized to work with the police so that overall the effectiveness
Right.
gets impacted.
That's
Because
right.
one of the things I've got to say is that the police department is limited in what they're able to do these days.
Right, because
And
of the laws.
because of the
Yeah.
laws that have been
It's
put
been
in
enacted.
place. And I'm not saying that I think that they need to be more overbearing, but I also understand that there were things that they were able to do, such as loitering and some of the other things
Right.
that are being done in the area when crime is being committed, that they're not able to have people
Right.
move along. So it's a front of the hand, back of the hand conversation, and we've got to be in partnership.
We need to take a commercial break. We'll be back in a moment.
Join us this coming April 25th at the Black Spectrum Company. This for the 50th Gala celebration honoring legendary actors Leslie Uggams, Lou Gossett Jr., and Ben Vereen. Tickets are still available for this event at the Black Spectrum Theater, the corner of 177th Street and Baisley Boulevard in Jamaica, Queens. Or call them at 718-723-1800. That's 718-723-1800.
Let's continue with this wonderful conversation on our community. I would also like to give a shout out to our sponsor, law firm of Stephen G. James and Associates, attorney at law, attorney at war, and he's located at 87-66 Sutton Boulevard in Jamaica, Queens. His number is 646-905-9000. And if you need an attorney, he's the attorney to go to, an attorney that you can trust. He hasn't lost a case in over 30 years. So let's give a shout out to
And he's a criminal lawyer.
yes. Let's continue.
So we're talking about the cops needing resources from us as well as we needing resources from them. So I think you had something.
So, like in Rochdale, for example, a girl was thrown off the building. She was raped and thrown off the building.
Oh, my goodness.
That was a long time ago in the 80s when I came out the Air Force. So when I got involved with the public safety there, one of the things that we did eventually, I was able to get rolling, was I got video cameras. The pricing numbers started coming down. Now it's even more. Remember, the computers were high?
Yes.
The price, TVs and everything
Yeah.
went down. So we have a command post in our public safety department with a whole lot of cameras. We have them throughout the complex. When somebody comes in there now and commits a crime, we catch them, okay? We have people providing information also, all right? And we make sure we protect them. Outside in the street now, we have the Argus cameras, okay?
Right.
That's helping us out.
Explain to
Yeah.
the listeners. I don't know if
Argus
anybody
knows
cameras
what that
are basically placed out in the street. You see two of them, okay, they're higher up. And what the people don't realize is when the individuals commit a crime, you're running down the street, but guess what? Somebody else's camera is picking you up. Ring doorbell or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So there's a stopping point, or when you don't see the person that more, you can circle that area and you know they're right in that area. Or they might show up coming into some building, okay? You retrieve the information, the cameras and stuff like that, the footage, and then you're able to see what's what. So like, for example, when you go into Rochdale, for example, our keys are coded where the person lives, right?
Right.
So we're able to know if somebody commits a crime, what usually will happen, they living with the mother or the grandparent or the aunt staying with them. That key goes right to the apartment and we're able to identify it. So a person did a shooting in there. It took us like a couple of weeks. Some people wanted the information out. No, it's under investigation. We're not gonna put that information out yet. We're still doing stuff.
Right.
We got it. We had some other cases. We got it. Okay? The same thing out in the street. Like you're saying, we all got to work together, give them the
Yeah.
resources that they need and the resources that we have. And now it's spreading out in the street. We're getting funding from Adrian Adams and others, Vivian Cook and things like that happen.
The borough president
Right.
has contributed. Because one of the things that's very important is the lights and the cameras in
Right.
terms of being aid to combating
Night
crime.
vision, zooming in, that's.
And it has made a difference.
Yeah.
I mean, from in
Yeah, it
the
has.
last 30
Proper
years,
lighting. Now you have some
So-
lighting that distorts the color. Okay, so you have to make sure that you have the correct lighting also. So like for example, blue would look like black. all right? So that's another area.
So getting back to the guns situation, you're advocating that all of us should have a right to bear arms, all responsible
There you go.
New Yorkers.
Right.
And what about the
Other
uniformity
places
of the
have
law?
them, so why can't we
No,
have them?
no, I'm not saying,
Yeah.
but there's a phenomenon out there. There are people who feel that
Everybody.
if we had organizations like the NAACP or United Way all of a sudden advocating the right to bear arms, then all of a sudden you're going to have even more divisiveness, because why should they have that?
Well,
And I always feel,
You know what I noticed, Wayne? When I go down south,
oh, I know, it's a different world.
it's a different world. For example, and it could be populated down south too.
Right.
I will not, let's say if it was me having a problem with you, I would know better than to come up and mess with you because you might have a gun. Okay, but here, they know that you don't have a gun. And I'll come and I'll mess with you. You might have the gun. Okay, but I don't know that. And then, boom, that's it. So down there, the property, you come on somebody's property, I'll shoot you, so they know better. Up here, they ain't got no gun. All anybody has is a pit bull.
You think stand your ground would work in New York?
I don't know, but I will say that responsible people, okay, and they can refine it with a different definition, should have weapons, not everybody, because the perception is out there that everybody will have arms if you do that, and that's not true.
But your point you're making is that they won't know if you were, and so they would think twice before
Correct.
they come at you,
Right,
because
right.
they don't know if
Right,
you're carrying or not,
right,
and
right.
that in
I
itself
understand
would
that,
reduce.
right. I mean, I don't know what anymore. I mean, I'm 60 years old, and the deal is that I've seen so many different programs come around, and I believe that there are times when I go out on my own, and I fear to see what goes on the train. Somebody will. I'm sitting down at the last stop of the train. I have a seat, minding my business, either looking at my phone, watching the news, or reading a paper and stuff like that. And some juvenile will come in on the next at the next station, and right away, oh, you're an old white-haired bum. Excuse me.
You're not bothering them.
Yeah, and the deal is
Right.
that I mean. The civility that we once grew up with is not existent today
Right.
to a certain extent. Maybe it's because of the area that I'm in, But what you're saying is that just knowing that the element of not knowing will be more of a deterrent than just trying to get the guns off the
And
streets.
now, Mr. Diaz, what about the people that have mental illness?
No, they shouldn't have it.
They should not
Yeah.
have. Okay.
But I also will say this to deviate for a second. We need to address, the mental health issue.
Yeah.
You was talking about something else,
Right,
cancer.
right, exactly.
Mental health is another issue. So like, for example, our officers, which I appreciate what Mayor de Blasio did, made us the first public safety officers to train our officers. So we have like 100 officers. I was able to get about, I think, maybe 20 or 30 of them, certified for mental health. So if, for example, they come across a situation, instead of them just pulling out their gun and bam, they will use their mental health techniques, to lessen the issue
Right.
and address the person and save them. It could be somebody's son, they just don't know what's in their mind.
Exactly.
There's a lot of pressure out here happening with our kids, with wives, with husbands and stuff, and sometimes, you just,
Snap.
snap. You have some type of understanding and compassion too. Take a little time instead of being abrupt, and you can work out a situation.
One of the programs that I think that's really made a difference, and I think I'd like to see it even expanded, is the NCO program.
Oh, yeah.
The Neighborhood Coordinating Officer program, for those of you who don't know, certain officers have a particular sector that they manage, and so they get to know the people in that sector, the businesses in that sector, the residents in that sector. They begin to form a relationship. And I think, and it reminds me of the days that I remember when I knew Officer so-and-so. I could say hello to him, and he knew who I was, and how's your parents, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, out of
They have
school, I'm
another
telling your mother
relationship.
or your
Yeah,
father.
yeah.
But you know
What
the
are you
good
doing
part about
there?
that?
Right, yeah.
And I'm glad you said that. My son has a mental problem, I opened the door the other day. He ran out of the house. I have a leg problem. I couldn't run after him, but I walked fast and I saw him in the distance. So I got my mind together. I just relaxed. I said, let me call not 911, the NT officers. They know him.
Mm-hmm.
I called him. No shooting, anything like that.
They found him.
They found him. They used their expertise. Okay, took him to the hospital. Escorted him to the hospital. He needed to get a shot. They reduced the medicine, so they had to revert to a similar medicine.
Right.
I got him back home now. He's okay. But let's say if it was somebody not NCO program that responded, hey, get over here, and boom, hey, that's my son. So I like that old day concept
Yeah,
that my
yeah,
parents told me about.
yeah. And it
That
makes a
works.
difference.
Right.
It really makes
It
a
does.
difference. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What have you not done yet that you would like to do in your lifetime?
There's two things I want to do. I want to be a judge one time.
Did you really?
Okay, so being chairman of the board of Rochdale, I love it. And everybody always put me back in that position. So I love that. The other thing was one time I wanted to be a fireman or a policeman, but they had a crisis, fiscal crisis, so I wasn't able to become one. So military, I did it there. But I came out, briefly did it in Veteran Affairs, but at that time, the money was under $20,000. You can't have a family and survive all that. So my brother was teasing me one day. He pulled out a wallet, okay? Not a wallet, but a roll of, money with a rubber band on it.
Yeah.
So I said, hey, what you doing, man? You pushing or what's this? Teasing him,
Yeah.
So he said, no, it's my overtime. So he whipped out his pay stub,
Yeah.
and showed me the overtime. I said, wow. I said, this is with transit, right? And I said, yeah. So boom, I rushed in, took the exam,
For transit.
and then I had the money with the rubber band. Okay. And it was delightful. I had a good 25 years that I put in transit, and other tests came up, but the money was good, and I loved the job. It was nice, but when I got out and they had these exams again, I wasn't able to to do it. I think they only had 2. So what I'm doing now is good. So I want to run for office. I ran for office, but I had obstacles. I didn't have I had the money, but I didn't have the right people in position, and I was distracted with family stuff. So being my mother, for example. So I wasn't able to focus and concentrate on it. So those are the things I want to do, but now I can't do it. So the only thing would be appointment to, like I was thinking maybe some people were saying to me, the Civilian Complaint Review Board. They said, Mr. Diaz, you'd be an excellent person for that, fair, judge-minded, and could render, good decisions on it.
Let people know what that is, because not
Civilian Complaint
everybody.
Review Board is the representative of the people in the community. And what they do is to basically review the cases and refer the information back to the mayor, the police department, etc. And that's what they do.
That's great. You said something earlier that I think that I want to come back to, and it was interesting. You said it with going to transit, and that is that one of the solutions is to get young people jobs.
Right.
Get them trained, get them. We've got a big opportunity right now with the JFK redevelopment, and so that's $13 billion redevelopment. So we're talking about an area that is going to build up the airport, and of course going to build up the surrounding properties and businesses in that area.
Right.
We already are going through a development upsurge in terms of downtown Jamaica. We're talking about 5,000 new units that are going to be available in the next 3 to 5 years between hotels and affordable apartments. So you've got a huge opportunity for us to create some sustainable businesses and some sustainable technology and careers that we can get our young folks into.
Low-level jobs, medium-level jobs,
exactly.
high middle jobs.
And it's so critical because, I had a situation. I was working with the African Center for Community Empowerment on Farmers Boulevard, and there was a young man who was part of a gang selling drugs. Stopped that out of working with that particular organization, and he actually was part of a youth leadership program that I was running. And one of the things that hurt my heart was that him trying to do the straight and narrow ended up got a young lady pregnant, now had a kid on his way, and couldn't get a job, and couldn't really find his way to get something that could take care of his young lady and his young person that he's bringing into the world. And because of that, he went back into crime because of course.
And all these gang members are not bad. Some people think all of them are bad, but there's some that get mixed in with the gangs and they have good intentions.
Right.
All right. So I'm not one that will criticize all of them. You can't generalize all the time. All right. You see some that will give back, to the community. You see, and they're really, who people perceive them as being. So there's a mixture, and there's a small mixture of good ones, and then you have the bad ones. The bad ones go out in the street, indiscriminately just shoot around, bullet in the kid's head, and this and that and stuff like that. Those people you have to deal with. Okay?
Absolutely.
And you can't tolerate. Then you have bad cops, okay, who go around and do what they have to do. They think they're God, or they might think that they can just beat us up, or do what they have to do. Those people have to be dealt with. So again, being in the middle.
Yeah.
Okay, you can't be here. You can't be here.
Yeah. Well, one of the interesting things that I brought up in this leadership training was I would actually go back and show them the Black Panther Party and talk about all of the 10 points that the Black Panther Party actually was for: housing, job development, police brutality.
Right.
Taking care of better educational system. I mean, these were all in place. And then when you look at when they were annihilated, you then had the Bloods and the Crips who came out after that, but really were about protecting the community. They didn't get into the shooting and the gang banging part of it until afterwards. In fact, it was interesting. There's a book, one of the gang name is Monster Cody, and he wrote a book about gangbanging in LA. And he said, and in this book he talks about it. He says they had a fight with a rival gang, and it's usually with the hands at this point in time. And somebody who had just moved into the neighborhood went home, got a gun, and shot the opposing gang member.
Yeah.
So the opposing gang members thought that they were protecting this person and he was part of their gang. And so that becoming a retaliation. And that started the whole Blood and Crip division and the infighting. And so when you look at it, they were really there to protect folks initially, and that was their intention. But it evolved, and then of course you bring in drugs and money, and then of course that skews the whole conversation.
Because one of my biggest concerns with all this development that's going on, that used to be the traditional way among developers to come in and they will bring in the illicit element and let's force these people out of their houses or sell their properties so they can, change the neighborhood, and then the whole gentrification process begins. And there's got to be a halt to all of that, and I think meeting people in the middle is one thing, but if we're going to still come back to the same problems, we just have to find a better way. And I was telling a young man who was here earlier today that when a fish stinks, it's from the head up, down,
and it's reaching,
and you got to chop off the head,
And it's reaching out. Also, like my brother was a gang member. He was big shot in Jamaica here. Then I have a nephew. Everybody has somebody in jail. He's in jail now. Yeah. He's a big man in Southeast Queens. I just can't tell who he is. Right. Okay. Yeah. But he loves his uncle, me. Yeah. Okay. But he made a mistake. So, that's that. So you have, like I said, some are good, some are bad. But the bottom line, this is Black History Month, but we have to practice Black history all the time as far as I'm concerned. We have to reach out, help out. So sometime I have extra change. There was some people that had a fire okay?
Oh, yes, I remember that.
I gave them, money. There was, during the holidays, like turkeys, okay? I gave money towards that, so people can have turkeys. You see these people lined up in the street, you have to feel sorry for them.
Right.
And they're out there in the cold, in the snow, and stuff like that. You have the extra money, you can't take it to your grave with you,
No.
okay?
Yeah.
So, life has been good to me, so every now and then I give back. You see some of these prominent people, some give back, some don't. For the ones that don't give back, I'm mad at them. For those who do give back,
Right.
I'm proud of them.
Well, what's your take on the shelters that the mayor's trying to develop in areas that, could be affected in terms of safety?
I love the mayor, okay, and maybe they could do it a little better with the shelters. They're putting them in our area, too many of them.
Yeah.
And this has been going on for years. So I hope they stop, but in other communities that they are putting shelters in, some of those communities have to accept, because what's happening is that if you have a fire here or something happens and you lose your home, they're sending you to Staten Island, you got to start all over again. It's too far. So their thing is, in the other communities, no, send it to South Jamaica. I don't want it here, okay? It's going there.
Hold
You
that
don't have
thought.
one.
Hold that thought. We'll be back after a commercial break.
Queens World Film Festival, the 10th annual, coming this March 19th to the 29th at the Museum of the Moving Image and Kaufman Astoria Studios. Over 200 films from around the world and also around the corner. It's a must-see event. Festival passes are on sale. Go to www.queensworldfilmfestival.com. That's www.queensworldfilmfestival.com. See you there.
Yeah, you have to spread it out, equally. And so some of those communities have to take it. You want to have a saying, in some of the stuff of how they're going to do it, okay, so be it. But for you to absolutely say that we have to take it and that,
Someone else doesn't.
No. I agree with the mayor.
What happens to, I'm sorry to say, but what happens with, I've noticed that some of the hotels are half hotels and half shelters. How does that work?
Well, from what I'm hearing, it's a tricky situation. What they'll do, they won't tell the community, and they say it's a hotel, and then all of a sudden they'll put a certain amount of people in it, and then it might not be a hotel. What happens is that it's a shelter. And so I was told that the place on the Jamaica bus garage down there on Guy Brewer was supposed to be a hotel.
Right.
And they told me no, they said it's a shelter.
Okay.
I don't know if it's true or not.
So one of the problems in our area is that in Community Board 12 in Queens, we have the highest number of
Right.
beds in the city.
Right.
So there's no other community board that has
Right.
as many beds as we do. So we've been having conversations with DHS, the Department of Homeless Services, to reduce that. But there's a lot of pressure. You've got people that are on the street. You've got to get them off the street. Our
Right.
state law basically says that we have to provide housing for people who are on the street, and especially for families. And a lot of the homeless folks are children. A large amount. So what happens is they put them in the hotels. However, the issue then becomes you're getting microwave food, so you're not eating healthy.
Probably.
You're not necessarily close to the school system that the kids are in, so they've got to now be transferred. And then you don't have all of the other services that are needed to get you into permanent housing. So you don't have the social worker, you don't have the education folks, because you're in a hotel rather than a facility.
Right, 'cause you don't have nutrition, you don't have a lot of stuff is not put in place because of the setup.
Yeah.
It is.
So it's a temporary fix, but it's not one that is in my estimation, as fruitful as it should
Should
be,
be.
because you have people who are working, who are in the homeless shelter system for 2-3 years, and in this day and age, you would think, or you would hope, that if you had a job, you would be able to at least afford an apartment. But that's
And I
there
just
lies the
want to
problem.
say one more thing. You have people that have high rents, that are paying high rents and mortgages and stuff, high foreclosure.
Yes.
Okay. You have people with high rents, so they have to move in back in with their parents because they only make a minimal salary that's comparable to a senior citizen.
Right.
Right. So they have to move back into with their parents. All right. Then
Well,
tell
they
them,
can't move out.
okay, or they tell them that they're gonna raise the rent and they can afford it. Some of them eating tuna fish or whatever. So in Rochdale, for example, with the seniors, we have a food program to
Oh, you
take
do?
care. Yeah,
Oh, great.
to take care of the seniors. All
Okay.
right, we have an after school, for tutoring. So we tutor the kids, and that's with our social services department.
Is there a cap on rents?
The highest rent that we have is $1,005, and that includes gas, electricity, and all that stuff like
You're
that.
kidding.
It's good.
I want to
okay?
put my name on
And,
the list.
hey, and on the outside, you might have the top rent might be 2,000, maybe 5.
In that area.
Okay, and that
Yeah.
doesn't include all of those gas,
Exactly.
electricity, and stuff.
Yeah.
So you're hitting almost 3,000. That's a person's almost whole
forget
salary.
it.
Yeah.
So what we have done in Rochdale for the last 5 years, under my leadership, our board, along with Mrs. Jean Randolph Castro, who's our president, we have kept the rents down. We're working smartly with the management company, Marion Scott Real Estate. We have kept the development down while upgrading it. Everybody comes there now from visiting co-ops. We're attracting people from outside to come and to the stores now. The stores were like vacant before. The place is jumping now. And we're increasing, we're reaching out. Before we had this perception as being snobbish, Rochdale. No longer is that the case. When Griffin had the son got shot, we opened the door. We can't do it all the time, but this was an exceptional case. And we allowed them to have the repass in Rochdale Village. We're different now,
Right.
Wow.
you see?
Yeah.
And we have different leadership, okay? So these are some of the things that we try to do to give back and help in the community. And that's what I'm doing while I'm alive, to make sure, okay, that our community is working in partnership with a whole lot of different groups like your other people to make things better for us.
Congratulations.
I have to come back to it again and say thank you for your leadership. Thank you for a beacon of light in our community, because you're showing us the way. You've demonstrated economic development in Rochester to the point where now Rochester is drawing.
Rochdale Village.
Rochester Village is now drawing folks in,
Right.
and businesses. You just opened up a Crunch
Correct.
gym.
A lot of people.
So people are coming.
Hibachi is coming.
Being healthy.
The food.
Oh,
Hibachi.
really?
Yeah,
Hibachi.
By the end of the year.
Yeah.
about that.
So that's I just want to acknowledge you publicly and thank you personally as well for the work that you're doing to help our community.
Yes, I want to say thank you too. I have family that's in Rochdale. My mother-in-law is in Rochdale for many, many, many years, and I love the community. I'm planning on joining you soon.
Oh, and Rodney Harrison, the chief of detectives, comes out of Rochdale. Miss Nigel Mohammed, her daughter, is the Olympic 400
Yes.
medal, her
Yes.
Rochdale.
Yeah.
Wow.
We
Oh,
have,
yes, yeah.
Chief Madry, Brooklyn. His mother lives in Rochdale, and another named Henderson. He was in Staten Island before. He went back to Brooklyn. So we have a lot of prominent people there. We have consuls, diplomats living there. A lot of civil servants.
Yes.
We know we're pro-union, and so the place is jumping. 5-year waiting list.
Wow.
You can't beat it.
All
Can't beat
right,
it.
fine.
And we have big
Yeah.
apartment rooms
Yeah.
and beautiful activities.
And your views are spectacular.
You can't beat
I
it.
guess I
Right.
see the planes take off
Right.
and land in some
Any chance
apartment.
of it? I'm sorry, but I was gonna wonder if there was a chance for expansion. at this point.
We're going to do something on Guy Brewer and 137th Avenue.
Yeah.
So what we want to do is make money. This way we keep the rents down.
Right.
Some people are selfish and they wanted to have parking there. That's not going to bring in money.
Right.
Okay, that's a limited amount of money.
Yeah.
We want to bring in money that's going to take care of everybody, the
Gotcha.
whole entire development. Then I can keep the rents down. We want to maintain our community and keep everybody there. They have nowhere else to go. So that's what this board is about.
Yeah.
Okay? People have personal agendas. We're not interested in that. We're interested in agendas that's going to take care of everybody.
Fulfill everyone.
Right.
Commendable. Right.
All right, well, we're winding down the show. I would like to say thank you so much for being on our World Hour of
It's a
Power.
beautiful program, beautiful show.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
And our honorable co-host, Mr. Wayne
I want
Gilman.
to say it's an honor and a pleasure. And as I said earlier at the top of the show, a seminal moment. It's been almost 40 years since I saw Mr. Diaz.
So I can bring people together.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Now just get me an apartment and be happy.
Okay, you're listening to Our World Hour of Power with Lady Pauline and our Honorable Mayor of Suffolk Boulevard, Mr. Glenn Greenwich. Do you have how can people reach you, Glenn?
They can always reach me at 718-291-2110. And you can check out the website at www.sutphin, SUTPHIN, BLVDBID.org. So,
And how can people reach you, Mr. Clifton Stanley Diaz?
They can call the Rochdale Village Board of Directors office. You can call 718-712-7582.
Okay, and you know how to follow us, Our World, Our Power. We're heard on Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, Tune In, and also iHeartRadio, if I did not mention it before. Catch you all next week. Take care.
God bless. Good night.
Good night.